fans, once again, it's the Horror Miser Monty G. Yes, time to do another movie review. Today I'm going to review the movie, the direct sequel to the original I Spit on Your Grave, I Spit on Your Grave, Deja Vu. I Spit on Your Grave, Deja Vu is a 2019 horror film. It was written and directed by Mir Zarchi. Yes, that's right, the same guy who did the original. It was produced by Jan O'Connell. It stars Marie Keaton, yes, the original person who starred in the original. Jamie Bernadette, Maria Olsen, Jim Charvey, and Jonathan Percy. Like I said before, this is the direct sequel to the original I Spit on Your Grave that came out in 1978. Yes, this is another one where it seems like Hollywood or movie studios, particularly horror films, are ignoring any of the previous movies or any sequels, and they're just going off of the direct original source or the direct original movie and creating a direct sequel from that one. Now keep in mind that this is actually the first sequel to this one. The remake of I Spit on Your Grave, that was just a remake from the original one. It had nothing to do with the original film that came out in 1978. I'll get this right. Yeah, it had nothing to do with the original. It was just a remake, which I thought was actually pretty good. But let's see what I have to say about I Spit on Your Grave, Deja Vu. Jennifer Hills is back. Yes. 40 years after surviving and taking revenge on the men who brutally raped her, Jennifer is now a successful author and has a beautiful daughter named Christy, who is also a successful model. After having a nice dinner together, they are kidnapped by the relatives that Jennifer tortured and killed from the original movie. Can Jennifer and Christy survive another terrible nightmare at the hands of those who want nothing more than revenge? We'll have to see. Now, to be honest, I'm not surprised by the sequel. Thanks to the success of Halloween 2018, movie studios now have another way to reboot franchises, particularly horror franchises, where they'll ignore all sequels and start from the original film and create a direct sequel from that particular source. That's the case with this movie, as it ignores the 2010 remake and its sequels, and its direct sequel from the 1978 movie, as I stated earlier. We even have the main star from the movie, Camille Keaton. She's back playing the same character, Jennifer Hills. And like I said, the director from the first film, Mir Zarchi, he's back, and he wrote and directed this sequel as well. So you think, oh man, we got the original star, we got the original director. This is a no-brainer. We got ourselves a pretty good sequel, right? Wrong! Dead wrong! This film has so many problems, I can't even begin to count them at all. One of them is the runtime, which is over 2 hours and 30 minutes. What in the world are you guys doing? Now, I don't mind of a horror movie being that long, so long as you have an engaging story to keep the audience from drifting away. And this film, this story is not engaging at all. It has plenty of pacing issues. I mean, God, terrible, over-the-top acting, pacing issues, and the story, oh man, and the story is just terrible, making this film an epic failure and a disappointment, as I expected something better than what we have here. Now, it's set 40 years after the events of their first film. We see Jennifer Hills is now a successful author, having written a bestseller about what happened to her and how she took revenge on the men that raped and assaulted her. We also see that she now has a daughter named Christy, who is actually a successful supermodel. Wow! Two pretty good women. They're doing very well in their lives. Now, after having a nice dinner together, the women are suddenly assaulted and taken away in a white van by a woman and two men, who we learn later that they are the relatives of the men that Jennifer tortured from the first film. We have Becky, wife of Johnny, Kevin, brother of Stanley, and Scotty, cousin of Andy. They all want revenge on Jennifer, and now Jennifer and Christy will have to fight for their lives in order to survive this nightmare of revenge. That's basically what the plot of this movie is. Now, there are a couple of things I actually did like about this movie. I like how the filmmakers make it look similar to how the first film did. Everything about this film has a 70s vibe to it. How the film looks, how the color plating is, everything it looks like just like the original film does. So you gotta give credit to the cinematographer. Now I'm probably gonna screw this guy's name up. Pedra Radnovic. That's the best I could do. He did an excellent job of making this film look exactly like the first one. So you got to give Zarchi and his filmmakers credit. I also like the premise of the movie is it's interesting because the relatives who probably felt the story didn't get any justice when Jennifer was either not charged for the murders of their loved ones or was found not guilty of the crimes. And they go out and seek their own brand of justice. However, Zarchi fails to execute a decent story here and also how he films this movie. One of the problems of the movie is the pacing and the dialogue. Oh God, where can I start? Some of these scenes in the movie that should take no more, maybe about 5 to 10 minutes, but here they almost take over 20 to 25 minutes? What the hell, guy? What are you doing here? And now, it'd be nice if the characters had something interesting to say, but they don't. It's just one long, dragged-out scene with over-the-top acting and dialogue that doesn't make any sense. There's one particular scene in the beginning of the movie. I won't say what it is because I don't want to spoil it. And the scene that should have only taken about maybe 5 to 10 minutes, we get this long, dragged-out scene where one of the relatives is going on this complete, utter nonsense tirade. And it doesn't make any sense. He's talking about Jennifer Book's book and how she's going to do all this, and she's cursing up a storm and what she did, what the person did to their relatives. It doesn't make any sense at all. And all they had to do was just have a nice short scene. We know that the fact that she's one of the relatives. We find out who the person is, and then you just take it from there. Another problem with this movie is how some of the scenes are shot. They're shot awkward, and I don't know what they were doing. We have one scene where one character is walking through the woods, and for some reason, the take that they do it is over 10 minutes long. And in another scene, we see characters that appear out of nowhere, and then we don't see them again until by the third act of the movie. It's like, what purpose do they serve? What's going on here? I mean, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And also, one problem I also did have, if this is supposed to be modern times, now I know they're out in the woods. I'm not expecting to have these people to have some of the modern conveniences, but at least they should have at least a flat screen TV, maybe cell phones or smartphones. They should have something modernized to make it actually look like we're actually in 2019. Not actually have the film look like a 70s, and it's actually still in the 70s. I mean, they did say that this film does take place 40 years later. And of course, let's not forget that over-the-top acting we have of some of the characters. Now, I actually did like Jonathan Pacey as Kevin. He really gives some emotion in his performance, but unfortunately, because his acting is way over the top in how he's described his lines, you don't have no sympathy for him. I spent half the time laughing at him when I'm not supposed to be laughing. I'm supposed to, I'm assuming we're supposed to hate him for some of the stuff that he does in the film, but I don't because his performance is so way over the top. I can't feel anything for the character or any other characters in his film. The person I really feel sorry for is Camille Keaton because I know she really tried to do her best because, this was a very important film that came out in 1978, but the script doesn't give her anything to do here. And the same goes for Jennifer Bernadette, who plays Christy. Now, I do give her credit for some of the things that she has to do in this film, and I wish Zachary's script would have done a better job for her, but just like Camille, it doesn't allow her to do anything more than what we see in the movie. It's a shame for these two actresses, and especially for Jennifer. Especially for Jamie. Now, we do get some brutality in here, and we do get some brutal kills, but they don't have the same type of punch that they had in the original film, or in the remakes for that matter. I don't know what they were thinking here. I'm thinking that they wanted to try to capture some of the essence of the original film, but they failed terribly. I mean, I can tell you right now, it's probably because of the lack of character build-up and the over-the-top acting and the dysfunctional filmmaking. It's like amateur hour here, and I felt like Zarchi really just dropped the ball here. Now, I don't consider myself, I have no knowledge of the fine arts of filmmaking, but I think I can probably shoot a decent scene. Probably take my phone and tell my wife Kelly to know how to walk and do a nice take of her walking that doesn't last over 20 minutes. I think I might manage that, but here, this is just pure amateur hour. It's so disappointing. Well, I really did expect something a whole lot better than what we got here. Now, I'm not saying that the original film was a masterpiece, or it was an excellent horror picture, or it was the coming out of another Exorcist that came out in the 70s, but it was very controversial. It did hit a lot of people hard way and it became a cult classic. And I know Zach Zarchi has probably not done a lot of filmmaking this time. I think if I researched him, I think he's only done 2 other films besides I Spit on Your Grave. And I know he was the executive producer on all the remake and the 2 sequels. I know he was the EP on those, but he didn't have really nothing to do with those other than just being the EP. But I expected a little bit better than what he gave us here. It's just over-the-top acting, very bad writing, over-the-top dialogue, jumbling storyline, and I don't know. It's just very disappointing. So, the Horror Miser is going to open up his vote. And I'm going to give I Spit on Your Grave Deja Vu 1 out of my 5 gold coins. Yes, I'm only going to give it 1 out of my 5 gold coins. Very disappointing film. Expect this to be on my top 5 worst horror films this year. Yes, it's that bad. So, my horror fans, what do you think about this film? Have you seen I Spit on Your Grave Deja Vu? Do you think it's just as bad as I said it was? Or do you find some redeeming qualities and you actually enjoyed the film? Leave your comments down in your comment section below and tell me what you thought about I Spit on Your Grave Deja Vu. So, horror fans, that's my video for the day. I hope you did enjoy it, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up because it does help the channel out a lot. And once again, if this is your first time here, please hit that subscriber button, ring that notification bell. That way you can come and enjoy the horror experience with me, the Horror Miser Monty G. And as always, all my social media links will be down in the description box below as well. Once again, my name is Lamont Smith, better known as the Horror Miser Monty G. And always remember, rules. Vince, take us home. We're out. Ha 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 ha!